Hello and welcome, everyone. We are super excited to have Susanna doing this webinar with us today and so thankful she's doing it. It is going to be great stuff. You're all going to love it. So, a couple of quick housekeeping things. Several of you submitted questions ahead of time. Susanna has promised me she's going to cover them and go even further. For the ones that I shared questions with her, a couple of questions were on different topics. So, if you have something not related to today's focus, happy to have an offline conversation with you. Another thing is many of you want to know, hey, are we going to have access to this again later? And the answer is yes, you will. The way we're going to do that is we are recording this. We'll load the recording on YouTube and then send you a link to it so that you can go back and see it again. There are a couple of places in the slideshow where Susanna is going to ask for your participation. So when that comes up, be ready. We want you raising your hand, and when you do, I will unmute you, and then you can interact with Susanna directly. So this is a great opportunity to really take it to the next level. All right. And by the way, additional questions throughout, do feel free to put them in the question panel, and I will share those with Susanna. To give you some information about Susanna, I've known her and worked with her for several years now and feel like it's absolutely a privilege. She is a master coach with the Center for Coaching and Certification. Now, background-wise, she has over 18 years of experience as an international entrepreneur, trainer, and workshop facilitator. She specializes in business communication and conflict resolution. She enjoys working with every individual and group through an interactive, upbeat approach, constructively guiding them to take their next step forward for achieving long-term success. And I'm just going to say from personal experience, she really loves doing that. She's absolutely excited about it. So, thrilled to welcome Susanna. And Susanna, what I'm going to do is turn the screen over to you. And now you're in charge of it. And welcome and thank you.
Thank you. I'm been very excited for today. And yeah, it's going to be wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so in saying that, let's just start. I'm just going to jump right in, and that's the kind of thing I love. And I love a lot of interaction, lots of questions, and we'll just get right to it. So I have a quote on this first screen. It's "Writing is treacherous business," and I want to say that some of you all I know feel that that's a true statement. And in teaching this particular class in the past, that seems to be pretty much how people feel, and that writing sometimes can be a fear. And hopefully today we'll get through some of that. And again, as I said, I would love your questions and interaction, and we will go forward. So our objectives for today will be where to begin. And I know that seems to be quite the challenge when we're writing anything, and that can be anything from just a basic memo, a document of any kind. Just the communication process of writing can be very, very just kind of daunting at times. It can be, let's say you want to become published. Maybe you're writing reports for things. We would like to organize our thoughts. That's another thing we will cover today, is the organization of thoughts. And how do we do that effectively? How do we do that quickly? Because sometimes we are writing documents that have a time-sensitive note to it. And we need to have our thoughts organized, boom, 1, 2, 3, and be able to kick out the document. If any of you have worked in a business situation, perhaps you're writing memos, and that seems to be where we need to go quick and fast and get right to the point and have everything, just our thoughts out there, but organizing the thoughts and being clear and concise with how we're going to do that and get the message across. We need to talk about audience. And I did notice, and we already addressed the fact that we had questions that came through ahead of the webinar. Audience is so much of how we are organizing our writing, where we start, how we organize the thoughts, and how do we talk to our audience. And we will do that today. We're going to experience some of that today. How do we work with our audience? And then, of course, some final tips. And I know that our webinar is only an hour today, and we're going to cover all these points. But what I would like to say is we can go further than today's webinar. And I'll talk about that when we are concluding. So let's just get started. All right, build the message. What is the hardest part of writing for you? So I would love to have some participation, and please give me your thoughts on this. What do you find the hardest part for you?
Okay, and for those of you who want to come on live and interact, raise your hand so I know to unmute you. And Susanna, I think they're being shy. All right, Keith, I'm gonna unmute you. Although actually it's showing you're called in on your phone and it's waiting for you to enter your audio pin, so I can do that, Keith. I will come back to you. In the meantime, Jennifer. So Jennifer, I unmuted you on this end. If you'll click on there you go. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi there. For me, when it comes to writing, it's just I just have a dread. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it, and so when I have to do it, I procrastinate with it, and you know, I'm not quite sure why, because I'm told quite often that my writing is pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but it gets the point across. People understand it. But I don't love it. And so for me, that's my biggest holdback.
Right, right. And what sort of things are you writing?
It ranges anywhere from blog posts to doing some training documents for an organization that I consult with, you know, just various things like that. So it ranges. You know, the blog posts are for my own, for my website.
Right, exactly. Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to talk about that and how to get you through, over that bump on when you're saying dreading writing. Can I be honest with you? Most people feel that way, and we just, we're going to get past that today. We're going to address that issue. So before I go forward with that thought, and talking about how we're going to do that, what other hardest part of writing? Who else has something else they would like to contribute?
So I'm going to unmute Keith in a second, and then we have Tim that's got his hand up as well. In the meantime, Renee typed in to define the outcome, and Anella shared clearing my mind. So let me unmute Keith.
Okay.
There you go, Keith.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I could hear everything, just couldn't talk.
Exactly.
Hey, yeah, I just to build on that. A lot of times it's for me just trying to get all of the get the ideas flowing. Like you have a lot of things you want to say, and you want it not be too wordy, but be, I guess, concise and easy to follow, and not lose your audience throughout the text. So. That's usually where I start. Is I have a lot I want to say, and I'm constantly trying to refine the wording and make sure that it makes sense and it's easy to follow.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay. May I please hear from everyone else that's out there?
Yeah, no, excellent. Tim, come on in.
Thank you, Kathy, and Jennifer. Great to hear your voice. For me, especially if it's introspective writing, like my About Me page on my website, or reflecting to create text that I think is going to take time, my biggest roadblock is just starting, is letting, literally just sitting down and starting. And almost without fail, it never is as laborious or time consuming or bluntly even as difficult as I had assumed. But it's truly just starting the process.
Right. And actually, most people feel that way.
Awesome.
So yeah, honestly. Okay.
Okay, excellent. And I've got a couple more notes in the question box, and let me know if you want me to bring someone else on live. So Rachel said she's not linear in her thinking, so it's difficult to stay on message. And
sure.
Mark shared that he agrees with Tim. Sometimes he will just write something ridiculous just to get started. What a great idea. And then Christy is saying creating an impactful and memorable message.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And who you said bring other people on. So let's see who else would like to.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any other hands up for unmuting.
Okay. All right. So let's start to address all of these things. And as I said, we have an hour today, so we're going to get, really give you guys something to work with. The first part, and you all were very kind to tell me, you are giving me your purpose of writing, and that's the really and truly the where to begin. Well, what is my purpose? And several of you talked about your blog pages and things like that. That is your purpose. You want your message out there. But you have to define that. Why am I doing this? So again, you all were giving me part of that. And then the next part that is super, super important is, who is your audience? And once you have those two things defined, it makes it easier as far as where are you going and where are you going with your message. So what I would love to learn is, who are some of your audiences? Like think about that for one moment. If you all would interact with me and tell me, who is your audience?
Yeah, excellent. And when you are ready, everyone, to come on live, raise your hand. And then if you want to type it in, I'll share those as well. And Susanna, right now, I think they're all thinking. I've got one person that wrote in one word, quite simply, their audience is women.
Awesome. And so do you actually have a particular demographic of women? That's a perfect thing.
Yeah, and somebody else typed in just the word customer. You got somebody said employees.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So that is awesome. That is wonderful. And why I'm saying that is that will help you propel, like push yourself forward and to get that message out. When you know who your audience is, it's just that much easier to craft your message, believe it or not. Because if you kind of like visualize this audience sitting in front of you, and you can do like, I had one person talk about as far as like your thoughts are all over the place, perhaps a self-talking approach would be awesome for that. So visualize that audience, and then you can just pretend like you're just talking to them, just like they're your best buddy, and go from that point, and then take your notes from there. And I can totally see that happening. But yes, once you define that audience and you know who you're talking to and what the purpose is, then you can launch off from that point. So all of that was awesome. All of that was excellent.
Yeah.
So,
and Susanna, if I recall correctly, you're looking for somebody to raise their hand so you can have a conversation on working through this with them. Is that correct?
I certainly am. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Who's going to be brave? There's a lot of you here. We're looking for somebody to raise their hand and come on and interact. So to let you know, we've had a few more notes in the box. Potential clients, especially those in direct sales. Somebody said prospective college students. Oh, I've got somebody who's coming on live. Rachel is going to be brave, so here we go. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Kathy, how are you?
Good. All right, Susanna and Rachel, go for it.
Thank you.
Hey, Suzanne. So I'm the one that said I am not linear in my thinking, and I also with someone else said, where do you start?
Yeah,
I can tell a story, but I have the problem of how do I get that story started? I'm usually pretty good in the middle when I'm in the middle, and then how do I end it?
Right.
Okay. From the beginning.
Let me ask you the two questions: your purpose and your audience. What are these two things?
So one of the things is I will be working with Kathy. My first true writing is going to be working with Kathy on the Coaching Perspectives book.
Right, exactly.
So for me, this is a huge undertaking
Right.
because I've never really written. Even in college with a computer science degree, you don't write, you code.
Right. No, true. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, for me, I work with businesses. I coach businesses to success.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually to overcome some hurdles or conflicts that they're having and bring a collaborative nature to the team in order to increase revenue. So that's usually what I'm coaching on.
Right. Okay. So let me backtrack to what you started in the conversation, is talking about writing for the Coaching Perspective book. Okay. So what would your purpose be in that? What are you going to contribute? Your chapter, let's say. Let's talk about your chapter you're going to contribute. Can you tell us what that will be? Just the topic.
So the topic will be group coaching for companies for collaboration.
Perfect. So then the next question would be, who is your audience?
I would make the assumption that it would be other coaches.
Right. So right there, we have the two main points, is your purpose and the audience would be other coaches. So right there, you know that you have to craft your words and what you're going to say as if you're talking to another coach. And you can even have like the pretend person in front of you and, just have that dialogue with them. Well, this is what I want to say about that. And just start talking. And it sounds like, since you also said you were not linear, is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. So,
I'm in sales. If something sparkles, yeah. I'm walking in a different direction.
I'll be quite honest with you. We're going to talk about writing workshop when we're concluding. And I do exercises with how to do that. How are we going to work with nonlinear? And it's a lot of fun. It's actually way more fun than it should be. And but for our purposes, you can actually do a self-talking. Like, just pretend that I'm your audience, and you can start talking to me. And just listening and hearing those words, you'll get everything you need out of it, believe it or not. You really will. And you can even do your self-talk, and you can even record some of it on a little device and then just play it back to yourself and pull out the points, like your 3 teaching points, something like that. And then you can form where it's going, where's the document going? Where's the chapter going? And you can write it like that, believe it or not. And then, we're going to have edit time and things like that, but it would be very easy like that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So that would be really, I think that'd be fabulous. And I think it's really fun when we have all these different people and you all have different learning styles and working styles, and it's all combined like this, but I think that would be great. I think it'd be awesome.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
My family's going to think I'm crazy talking to myself up here.
No, actually, it really, I want to tell you, it really works. It really and truly works, because part of, and we're going to talk about this in the end, but part of your editing process would be to read the documents out loud and hear what they say. And really, in that whole exercise of speaking it out and really listening to it, you can really hear what's going on, and you'll stop and you'll question yourself, and you'll be like, well, gee, is that really what I want to say to that, for that purpose? And you're kind of really self-editing at that point in time. And it's really strong. It's very powerful stuff, because you know that you're always you always have ownership of whatever it is you're creating. And it's really neat, and you should try it. Definitely try it, and I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. And in the meantime, you've got a couple of things coming in. First, a comment. Great idea to do self-talk. And one of the people said, I'm going to go on my iMovie and just talk to myself. This is awesome. I can see and hear. Wow. So that's great.
It really is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. It's very powerful. It's very empowering.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the idea of thinking about writing something for publication as you're talking on paper. So
yeah.
cool. Now I've got a couple of more audiences if you want to speak to who these
Yes.
are. One person,
Yes.
oh, here's a challenge one for you. This is Renee, and her audience is, and she made that plural, are very diverse, ranging from executive management to relatively unskilled workers from
Okay.
different races, cultures, and values.
Okay, and that is a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous thing. And the reason I'm saying that is, are you, and this is a really important question, is it that you are talking to them, or excuse me, writing for them all at one time? Is it the same document that has to stretch over all of these audiences?
And so, Renee, if you can give us that answer to that. And if you're brave enough and want to come on live, Renee, raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Okay, so I'm not seeing either. That's a good question. In the meantime, the other person said the purpose of my message is to help my clients strengthen their team relationships through effective communication and interaction. And their audience is HR clients.
Excellent. So again, envision these HR clients. So when you're preparing your document, whatever that document is, really focus on who you're speaking to. And that will mean that you're crafting your document in their language. And that's actually why I was asking Renee the question I did. It's like, is the one document stretching all over the different audiences, or is it that you would be having the one document, the one idea, and you would actually be able to take it out and alter it at certain points in time? And so going back to the one person I'm working with now with the HR as the audience, you will want to use their language, just like we have coaching language. You will want to try to integrate their language in certain points so that you have them on the buy-in part of that everybody's on the same page, the same wavelength, and I understand exactly what you're trying to say, and you understand me. It's shared. And we can talk a little bit more about that as we go forward, as we walk forward in this program, but that's really part of the communication process.
Nice. And Renee has raised her hand, so do you want me to bring her on live?
Oh, please, please.
Okay. Renee, you're live.
Hello. Yes, the answer to my question is that it's not necessarily the same document, but the same message that I have to get across to different people from different orientations.
Okay, excellent. So when we're working with different people,
and I'm going to go ahead and mute Renee just because of the echo. So now that you know her answer, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, what will happen is you will wish to use your writing language that best communicates with each audience. So it's called localizing language. And so that's the actual formal terminology for it. So it would be as if, let's say you're talking to an audience of coaches. You would want to make the language for that audience, so you would be using your coaching language. If you're talking to a different audience, let's say I'm talking to a younger audience, let's say I'm talking to young adults, I may choose to put words into my documents. It's going to be the same message, but I'm going to maybe just kind of alter my words a little bit to words that mean something to that audience, something they will easily understand. And so that's what usually happens with your writing. And that's why I say, who is my audience? You have to identify that audience so that you can clearly communicate with that audience. I know that there was a pre-question about, I think there was something that had to do with the message, about clear and concise messages. And that's how we craft those messages. We are always knowing the purpose and the audience first, so that we can write the language in something the audience can easily understand. Okay, does that make sense for everyone?
That's awesome. And it actually, Susanna, it strikes me that it sounds just like what we do in coaching. We use our clients' language.
Yes, it is. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Anything else on these 2 points? And if not, we'll go forward.
I am not seeing any more notes or hands up, so I believe you're good to go.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and walk forward. All right. Now, this is the biggest and easiest thing to do. Please answer this simple question, and I wish you all to experience this. I want the audience to know. And those of you who said that you have so many ideas swimming around, and this is the way to calm those ideas. And also, when we talked about earlier, hard starting, you know how we were just kind of like procrastinating, and we're kind of like, well, you know, like I need to write this document, I need to do this, I need to do that. And you kind of just procrastinate, but with this one simple question, once you know the purpose of your document and the audience, this is the next step. I want the audience to know. So if you guys would please, please all experience this and write down, what do you want your audience to know? What do you really want them to know? So if we can take a moment and we can all do this, and then we can dialogue about it.
Yeah, so if some of you want to share what you're writing in the question box, and then Susanna, I believe you want people to raise their hands again and come on live and talk.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. In the meantime, you did get a question, and it is whether we err on the side of shorter messaging or more detail.
That will depend on your purpose and your audience. It's an excellent question.
And they said thank you to you for that. So good. Yeah. Goes back to your first 2 questions.
No, it's excellent. It's absolutely excellent.
All right. So who's going to share something here or come on live and talk about what you want your audience to know? So I've got somebody in the question panel saying, I want my audience to know how to take the perspective of the people they are working with. And they said, I hope that answers the question. Sorry, I can't come on live, but they've got the flu. So they don't have a voice right now. So, wow, that's a cool one. I'm going to give you that one, and I'll let you know there's another one that's come in too. So go ahead and speak to that, Susanna.
Okay, and that's perfect. Because from that, you're saying, this is what I want you to know. And you can just branch off and start writing and just do some free form writing with that one. That one sounds like you need to just write what comes to your mind. Once you have that focus, just write everything that comes to your mind with that intention in mind.
Awesome.
So hopefully that helps.
So
Okay.
it sounds like kind of brainstorm on paper, basically.
It is, and I'll give you guys a little tip or a little secret about this I want the audience to know. When you are having to prepare something academically, like a thesis statement, this is your clue to that. I want the audience to know, and then you can write a thesis. Because that's usually the dreaded thing that people write. Oh gosh, I don't want to write a thesis statement. That in my experience, that has got to be the thing that people have to tell me they don't want to do the most. But then when you simplify it to this, it becomes so much less terrible. And so it's kind of like my secret weapon, believe it or not. It really is. And it's actually, it applies to every single document including writing the shortest things like just memos, just getting a memo across the desk for somebody.
Nice.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So the next one that came in is I want the audience, college students and their families, to know
Perfect.
that college planning can be manageable and relatively stress-free experience.
Excellent. And so from that piece, it would be awesome if you could then write what comes after that and just simplify it into maybe 3 or 4 bullet points. And then you have everything that you want your audience to know, and you can just launch off from there. You can just jump from there and have a whole document done in no time. That's awesome.
Nice. So, and they said, good feedback, thank you. And the next person said, I want the audience to know where I am heading, what the outcome should be.
That is awesome. Okay. So again, I want the audience to know what the outcome should be. So what you can do with that is just, what do you want the outcome to be? Like, what is your end result? And you will fill in, start the beginning, which is what we just stated, and the middle will come into play now, and then you'll have your end. And hopefully that helps. That's
Nice.
pretty cool.
So a couple of questions came in, and then I have one more person on what they want their audience to do.
Great.
So the questions are, you were talking earlier about, I want the audience to know, and they said, is this statement then incorporated in some form in the beginning of your document?
You would craft, instead of actually being with the formal part of it, I want the audience to know, you will already be able to craft that first paragraph. You don't actually have to say that. This is just your launching pad, especially when you're like, you know, with me, I get ideas at all times of the day and night, believe it or not. And, you know, and if I want to just calm my thought process down, and I'm like, okay, I want my audience to know, you know, A, B, C, and D. So this is a great way of just really, really honing in all those thoughts, all those random thoughts we might have about a certain topic. And this just rounds them out so that you can go forward with strength. Does that help?
So Kim, go ahead and she said thanks. So that's good. The other question that came in, do you recommend starting with an outline, i.e. 3 teaching points and fill in, or free flow writing and then condense?
That will truly depend on how you like to work. How do your ideas flow? I have students who the outline, that is their chosen method, and it works really well for them. And then I have students that the free flow is more how they operate. So that's a very, very individual circumstance, and it really has to do with how you learn and how you work with information.
Nice, nice. So another one said, I want my audience to visualize the success they will get when working with me.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love that statement. Wow. You can go crazy with where that one can go. And I can already see for the coaches in the group, you can actually get your affirmation statements from that. I can totally and completely see the outcome of that statement and how powerful it is.
How fun, yeah.
Yes.
The next one said, I want the audience to know that accountability builds collaboration and success.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So with that in mind, you can craft a document talking about successes, right? Because that would be amazing when one is accountable, how successful the outcome will be. So I could see that really being so powerful as well. I can see that being completely powerful.
Yeah, and then you've got another one. I want them to know there is no stupid or silly question.
Yeah, that's awesome as well. You could again take that and run with it. You could talk about so much from that one statement. You can give the examples of when one believes their question might be silly, but indeed it is not. It can go crazy. You guys are awesome. You're giving me the most powerful statements, and statements that could take you places and take you into blogs and documents and anything that you can envision. Beautiful. Anything else out there?
So I'm getting thanks on those things. I'll share with you, Susanna, when you were saying that, take that and run with it. I'm thinking, okay, pretend like I'm sitting there and I tell them to ask me the stupid and silly questions. What questions will they ask me?
Yes. Yes. It's awesome.
And
Okay.
And if you tie that to coaching, it's so funny, is if you're asking yourself, I want the audience to know, and you're starting to answer that question. And then if you're asking yourself, what questions are they asking me? And you're answering those questions, all of a sudden you've written it.
Yes. That's the power of the statement. I want the audience to know. You could literally write your document in like no time at all, because it, as I said earlier, it really just grounds you. It just really puts all those thoughts that we're all, you know, and we all have these awesome thoughts. I mean, this happens to each and every one of us every single day. And we come up with these wonderful ideas, and putting them on paper just makes it even more amazing. It grounds everything that you're doing, and it allows you to create, like have that jumping board. You know, you jump off board and you just go forward and you push forward, and that energy keeps moving forward, and it grows and grows and grows. And you're right, the document will write itself. That's exactly right.
That's awesome. And Susanna, the other thing I'm hearing behind what you're saying is the confidence or believing in what they're doing. Speak to that.
Yes, actually, this does build your confidence in writing, most certainly. And what's wonderful about this, and again, you know, we have a defined amount of time today, and I actually do teach a writing workshop where we experience all the different brainstorm methods and how we work with that, how we actually write from the brainstorm. And it really is a confidence builder, because, you know, very often, like if you really think back into maybe your elementary education, let's go back really, really far for some of us. And we might have been turned off of writing, and we lost some of that confidence. And, you know, quite honestly, this kind of pulls it all back together and it rebuilds it. And then we get the opportunity of really crafting ideas, really, really getting our ideas into focus, and then we can put them into actual play. And I'm really congratulating those who do blogs. I think that's a gutsy thing to do, a blog. And, you know, and this could really put all your thoughts and ideas into the, you know, just the whole idea of writing the blog. And you can give yourself a little sidebar note and then jump into writing that blog. You know, you can just organize your thoughts, like, you know, based on this one statement, I want the audience to know. So yes, absolutely. Confidence building all the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've got somebody that's ready to come on live. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is Christy. And hi, Christy.
Yep. Hi. So building on that, writing blogs. So I have a pretty easy press release to write. However, I live in a small community, and the comments box just goes nuts with people who kind of the outliers. Yes. And so as I'm writing, I'm thinking about my purpose and my audience. I can do this pretty well. And then I'm in my head are these naysayers and Debbie Downers that are going to perhaps go crazy in the comments. field on our like online newspaper and things. And I'm just like wondering how much I should be focusing on that and how much thought I should even put into that. Ignore it, move forward, or try and mitigate some of the negativity or whatever.
What I would seriously do is go forward with your original message. Stick to the plan, and really and truly stick to your plan. And then you can go back and you can start working with maybe not all of it if it's like going like crazy, but start just acknowledge it. Kindly acknowledge that. And the reason I say kindly, I put the word kindly in there because everyone wants to be heard. Negative or positive, everyone wants to be heard. And you can, now that we have all of this power of you want your audience to know and you have your purpose and you know your audience, now you can craft several simple statements that are nice and that can kind of calm the negative piece of it. Unless you're writing for controversy, unless this is what you're trying to do. That might be part of your purpose, that you're trying to stir things, but I don't think it is from what the way you're from what you said.
Right, no. And then what are your thoughts about replying to comments? I've heard some people say try and reply, and others are like, just let them be and not give it energy.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. What's really nice, I'm gonna have to change. Can I change hats for like a split second? Okay, I'm gonna put my communications person hat on here, and what I'm going to say to you is to craft, which is a writing skill. We're gonna craft a statement, and it'll be a kind statement, and it's all it is. And this is like a sort of conflict resolution kind of mixed into this. We're going to take all these things and kind of throw them in a pot, and now we're going to come out with something. What you really would like to do, and I mean, no one, anytime anybody says something like that in that sort of relationship, they want to be acknowledged, good or bad. And all you need to do is say something as simple as thank you so much for your whatever it is, for whatever you're saying. And that's it. All you need to do is say thank you. Thank you very much for saying whatever it is you're saying, and just keep moving forward. And if it persists, then you say, you know what, I would love the opportunity to discuss this. And of course, say it in your own language, okay? Definitely we're going to go back to that localizing language piece. Say it in the language that's going to be understood. And just be kind. Kindness counts when it comes to this stuff. Because especially if you're doing something like blogging, which everyone can see and everyone has access to, you want to always put your best foot forward. You don't want to be, you never want anything negative coming at you.
Right.
And so I like to err on the side of niceness. And I know that might sound really strange, but it isn't. It actually works. Yeah. And but yes, have your pre-scripted. And this will be your writing homework for you. And just have your pre-scripted comment back, like, dialogue back. Thank you very much. I hear what you're saying.
I like that.
And that's it. Okay, and that's it. And then you go on with the original message, because that's the message that I want my audience to know. This is what I'm working on, A, B, C, D, E, whatever. You want to stick to your plan and move forward. Always moving forward, and always moving forward with a positive foot. And then yes, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Awesome.
Okay. So anyone else with I want the audience to know? Okay.
Let's see. I did get someone that typed in, I want my audience to know they are responsible for managing their internal team relationships and their client relationships.
Awesome. Excellent. So from that statement, you are having the ability to list the positives, right? So there's so much you can talk about with that. What sort of document would that be a part of?
And Micah, you can either let us know in the question box what kind of document it is, or you can raise your hand and I can bring you on live. I'm thinking Mike is typing because they haven't activated their audio on their telephone.
Okay.
So when you asked that question, one of the things that popped into my head is that old acronym, "What's in it for me?"
Yes. Yes.
So the audience wants to know what's in it for them, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's what you're saying when you say, what are all the positives about them being responsible for that?
Yes. And that's actually what I heard. It's really funny when you read the statement, and I thought about that. It was like, wow, if you take even just the what's in it for me, you could run with that statement.
Yeah.
Right? And you would have that's why I'm asking, what sort of document? Is it something you have to prepare and write? Is it a report you have to submit? Tell me more. But
it's a team building training document.
Awesome. Oh, that's even better. That excites me. Okay, so you really could apply the what's in it for me. Team building, and that statement is powerful. You will need to give them, you could create so much with that. You could create examples for them. You could create exercises for them in a team relationship. Wow, I could see that being amazing. So yeah, definitely work with that. And you could bullet point under that statement all the things that would apply to that statement, and then you would go back and you can fill in. Does that help?
It's awesome.
Yes, truly. Okay, perfect. So we can go ahead and move forward to the final tips section. That's our next part, and please, people, dialogue with us. It's an amazing thing. Okay, so for our final tips, we're going to let documents rest, and I really do want to talk about this. When you write anything, and someone had asked about some best practices. This is a best practice of writing, is to, when you have the opportunity, let the document rest. And this is something, it could be something as simple as an email, and it could be something as complex as maybe training documents, like if you're writing training manuals or something like that. But the letting it rest, and you go back and you read it with a fresh set of eyes, you really see, like you really have to kind of like walk away from something and then come back to it to really see, is that, and ask yourself, is that the message I wish to convey? Is that really what I'm trying to say to these people or these groups or these teams? Because sometimes when we're creating and we're in our groove and we're writing, and we're giving it our best shot, sometimes when we let it rest and we come back and we read it, we figure out kind of like where the hiccups are, and that gives us the opportunity to straighten it out and to make changes as necessary before going forward. And I want to tell you a couple of just a scenario that comes up in office environments, and I know that a lot of us here probably work for ourselves, but it still applies. And we actually have more freedom to do it if we are working for ourselves. But even something as you're typing a document, and like for most of us, we're on our own. We don't have a team member next to us to and I'll go into that a little bit more, second set of eyes. I will go into that going forward. But letting it rest, you can do something as simple as finishing your document, and this is something like an email too, and just walking away, going to get a cup of coffee, going to get a drink of water, and coming back and reviewing it. That's how easy this is, the letting it rest. Sometimes I let documents rest overnight. If it's something super important, I will write it and I will just put it aside. And I will let my mind kind of like have my mental rest, and then I'll come back and I'll edit my document. I'll work with my document. So it's a very simple thing to do. And do let your emails rest. I got to tell you that. Because sometimes in the emails we're writing, and sometimes we're not saying the right thing. So do drink of water and let your email rest. Okay, next one is to edit. And again, in editing documents is best practices. And that is part of letting it rest. It works hand in hand with good editing, good practice of editing. Do not let anything pass out of your hands, including emails and even text messages, without taking a second look at it and editing it, because making sure it is exactly what you wish to say. And I know I said text messages. It is a writing, believe it or not. Sometimes we're not writing grammatically correct. We're writing with emojis or anything else like that. But you have to still make sure that your message is being conveyed. Okay. Second set of eyes. You heard me mention that briefly. But a second set of eyes is key, especially, again, when you are writing documents and important documents. The second set of eyes can really identify, is it what you truly want to say? Is that really what I want to say to someone? And that's why identifying your audience is so important, because if the second set of eyes comes on board and starts to read whatever it is you're preparing and writing, they can identify, well, is this what is this really what you want to say to this audience? Maybe you want to say it this way. Maybe we want to localize language more. They can give you that input that, so much of us truly need. And then you heard me say earlier about reading documents out loud. That's another best practices. That's another editing technique. Very often we are still, again, localizing language. That's a big thing, so that we can really communicate with our audience. And in reading it out loud, we can really hear what we're trying to write and say and how it would perhaps be interpreted. And my next tip is about localizing language. We've been talking about that pretty continually during this segment. And it's so important because it is communication, whether it's writing, speaking. It is definitely a way that we all talk and get our ideas running across to each other. Okay, does anyone have any questions at this point on anything anyone would like to contribute?
Somebody said this works so well for emails, especially when the conversation could be heated.
Yes, I didn't want to go there, but yes, it's actually a true statement. Very true.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what else, everyone? While they're all thinking and hopefully working up the bravery to raise their hand and come on live or typing it in, Susanna, as you're talking through, something that occurs to me, you talk about reading the document out loud, localizing language, and then I think about what we talk about in coaching too. I remember going to a training, this was on speaking, which is different than writing. At the same time, it seems like it applies, so give me your thoughts. They said when somebody comes at you with like a negative message, instead of reinforcing the negative message, give them the message you want them to hear. So I think about in coaching, we talk about what people don't want. And we say, well, what do you want? How does that apply when you're writing a document?
I would say the same. I would definitely, as I am, as I have been a speaker, I am a speaker. It's true. And that's what coaching is all about. We're taking maybe something that isn't so pleasant. Sometimes people come to us and they come with different goals, and that's part of their goals. I want to be a better person, let's say. And, really and truly, the more positive things we do and we say and we work with. And what am I saying? Guiding. The word was guiding. That's really, the results are so awesome, I think. I think the results become something really amazing. So yes.
Awesome. Awesome. And then a question came in. Renee said, what are your thoughts about using humor as a way to connect with your audience?
Absolutely. When we're using humor, we increase the knowledge retention. And that's in speaking, that's in writing, that's across the board. So yes, absolutely to using humor. Absolutely.
Awesome. I think I've heard that about stories too.
Yes. Yes. Yes, stories are wonderful. So in your stories that relate to the goals of whatever you're speaking about, whatever you're writing about, that is a direct relation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else? Mm-hmm.
What else, everyone?
Okay. So can I tell them about writing workshop?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to put the last slide up here. It's my contact information. And I have asked me about writing workshop. And what that is, it is a program I teach. And if you all are interested, we can definitely get that moving. Just connect with me and we'll make it happen. And it is a program that takes usually more than one day. I teach it in a workshop format. It takes several days. And the reason why is because we pick apart writing and generating the writing, utilizing each brainstorm method out there. It's very hands-on, and but we are using the brainstorming method. But from the brainstorming method, we are crafting. We are figuring out what we need and how to use it in documents, like where everything is put. And when we do a writing workshop, I love when participants come with documents in mind, something they truly, truly wish to craft. And it makes it that much better. It's that much more fun. And it is an extremely fun class. I like the humor comment because I teach with lots and lots of humor. And the reason is because of knowledge retention, and not to mention I like humor. It just makes the day wonderful. And I want you all to have the best resources, the best of everything. So for me to increase the knowledge retention is it just brings me a lot of joy in my teaching. Awesome. But definitely writing workshop. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And another comment that came in from Lorene is, she said, I tell the people I work with, I am the guide and they are the hero. I build on that. What do you think?
That's awesome. I love it. I absolutely and truly love it. How wonderful for you to be the guide and them to be the hero, they to be the hero.
Awesome. Wonderful. So it seems we're complete. I'm not seeing any other questions. I am seeing people in the question panel saying thank you. They really enjoyed the tips and the insights. So I've got several good comments there. So thank you, everybody. Do watch your email for a link to the recording on our YouTube channel. And when I send that out, what I will do is copy Susanna so that you'll have her email right in the email that you get. And Susanna, just to let you know, the thanks are rolling in, saying thank you, this was awesome, good information, good job. So lots of really great comments. Glad it was helpful, everybody. And I'm guessing Susanna is really glad as well.
Yes, thank you so much for your time today.
All right. And Susanna, just to say thank you so much. So excited to have you here. We appreciate what you've done, what you've shared. And everybody, here is her contact information. So if you want to have a chance to get a hold of her, you've got it. And as I said, I'll copy her on the email as well. So thank you all. And Susanna, lots more thanks here. So thanks, everyone.